Welcome back to the Cannabis Podcast. Appreciate you being here. We're actually recording this on Thursday, which is Thanksgiving. So appreciate you all being here, taking some time whenever you watch this to spend whatever time you have with us. And welcoming back is Phillip James Latham from Los Angeles. And
Hello.
welcome back.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You got it. So today we are going to talk about two things. Since you're in California, I'm from California, and I don't drink anymore, and you drink a little bit. We're going to talk about what California sober means, and then also what is included in this new hemp THC ban that was just signed into law. So, if you want to kick us off, you were about to say something pretty good about being California sober and about how much you drink a little bit less. I don't drink. I haven't drank in 7 years, and I still consume, but as I have my drink right here. But you were about to say something about being a parent and drinking less and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks again for having me back. I feel like we should start off this episode by saying our gratitudes and stuff. So I'm very grateful for you as a friend. I'm grateful for everybody that's tuned in to these episodes and all of their meandering conversations that have taken place. And I'm grateful for all the opportunities that have come, before this and potentially from this. So I just wanted to start that out on a day of thanks. But yeah, no, you said you wanted to talk about California sober, and it definitely brought to mind like past behaviors compared to now. Like 10 years ago, I was still like, going to the bar, taking shots, being out until 2 o'clock in the morning, shutting places down, and figuring out how we were getting home, yada yada yada. But fast forward to now, having a kid, I think, when you just asked me, I was like, I wonder when was the last time I was drunk? And it was funny because then I thought about it and I was like, oh yeah, I was drunk at my dad's birthday party. Because, again, we were out in West Virginia at my parents' property, and, I was hanging out a little late night with some of the other people that own property up there. And yeah, had a couple pulls from a whiskey bottle and just sharing some
That'll happen.
stories and getting to know some of the people that they've met up there. But yeah, I mean, in terms of being California sober, like I don't necessarily think I'm not California sober necessarily, but I definitely don't drink nearly as much as I did anymore. And I think as the times have evolved, it's funny because like a lot of my friends who have like older siblings that have kids that are now, teenagers coming into their own adulthoods, they none of them drink at all. Like for me, when I was in like, high school, like latter years of high school, like drinking was kind of like the subversive thing to do and, sneak out, go to a party, have a couple drinks or whatever. But now, like, none of the kids today want to drink because I feel like they've been exposed to all of the really brutal health impacts that drinking has on your body. And it's just now kind of like a taboo thing to do anymore. So none of them like go out and drink. It was funny. I was talking about one of my best friends. He was like, "Yeah, my niece, she like, I asked her, I was like, what do you do for fun?" She's like, "Oh, we go out and we like make TikTok videos and just like hang out at like,
Yeah.
different parks or whatever." And I'm like, that's so good. And like, I'm so glad that it's like wholesome activities that they're participating in groups rather than degenerate,
Hmm.
let's get wasted and see what kind of trouble we can get into.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, just I was kind of encouraged by that. And other thing that I wanted to ask if you had seen, Tucker Carlson just interviewed a neuroscientist within the past like week or two, and his whole deal was about the toxifying effects of cannabis on the brain. So I was wondering if you had one watched that and two what your thoughts and reactions were to that.
I did watch that a little bit. I haven't finished it. I've watched about half of it right now, and the guy is really fascinating. But obviously, like everything, you you go, okay, why is this being talked about on Tucker Carlson now in such by this guy? You know, why did you choose this guy out of all the other good people out there? You don't talk about the history of the plant. You know, you don't talk about hemp. You know, it's a very curated perspective. It's a very nuanced perspective, which means that's kind of in my opinion, the way they want you to, they're steering you in this kind of line of thinking, you know, especially for people that a lot of people on the conservative right that haven't been tracking the legislation evolution of cannabis. They're kind of getting new into all these topics. Here's your 101 take on it from Tucker Carlson and this scientist. Um, because, you know, do they talk about all the data in all the states where it's proven that drinking goes down? Any states that legalization, you know, there's a lot of data they don't present. So, yeah, if you focus on, we see this with RFK Jr. in certain topics that he discusses, you can always pinpoint one thing and highlight that, and it'll look like that whatever you're highlighting is the most evil thing on earth. But when you zoom out and put it in totality, you're like, oh, well, nothing's perfect. You know? Um,
Dude, I couldn't agree with you more. And it's funny that like that take actually applies to so many other issues that are like trending current events wise right now, a la Epstein files and the right left bickering back and forth and like cherry
mhm.
picking of either like
It's so
evidence
annoying.
that they can pull
It's
from any
so
of that kind of stuff.
annoying.
It's so
So
obnoxious. And
frustrating.
like, you know,
Like, I know what you're doing. It's so
the
annoying.
and what I think the craziest part for me is like thinking about I can see through what you're doing, and I know someone like you can, and people that, you know, have, you know, allowed themselves to be a little more open to taboo subjects or whatever, conspiracy theories or whatever you want to, you know, say they that we've all kind of like drifted through. But then the people that are still just so caught up in the like, yeah, this is the way and this is the gospel that I have to abide by. And like this is the take on the subject that proves my perspective. And so, therefore, I'm just going to carry forward and, you know, continue to. Did you see the neuroscientist on Tucker Carlson that told everybody that,
Right.
you know, cannabis toxifies the brain, and he can tell that, you know, if you've used it all, you know, your brain is toxic. I was like,
Well,
because I was talking to my wife about it after I watched the first little bit of it, and I was like, there's no discussion whatsoever on how much it took to toxify a brain
no, no.
or any of the potential positive outcomes of consumption
Right.
or like therapeutic aspects of it.
Right.
Which is, I was like, this is so aggravating.
It's so annoying because somebody's going to watch that and be like, yeah, yeah, you know, we really shouldn't legalize it. And I'm like, listen, I don't care if you do it, but you got to give me the option to. That's all. So it's, and you're right. That's what annoys me about everything right now is that everyone has like a soft spot. We're seeing mostly with one issue come out, um, tied to another issue that's that's also out. But
Tied to
it's
another issue, tied to, you know.
tied to another issue, tied to another issue. But that string theory, you know, each one of those topics has their own following. And so if those followings are all now on the same thread, then eventually you're going to be going in the same direction. It's just a matter of how slowly it takes, and if it's too little, too late, kind of so to say. But
Actually,
it's
it's fun.
fast.
It's funny. The too little, too late thing, though. Just a quick point on the whole climate change thing, and Gates just kind of flip-flopping on like, you know, climate change is this inevitable, catastrophic thing that's going to take everybody out. And well, now it's like, oh well, you know, we may have, you know, we can't do anything about climate change anymore. And it's funny because I actually brought that up to someone not too long ago, and they were like, wait, wait, wait. Point of clarification. What he actually said was that we have gone beyond the point of no return, and there's nothing that can be done to curb climate change any longer. He didn't say that that it's not a big deal anymore. He's just saying that the point that we could have done something is now past. I was like, huh, interesting take.
Right. I don't know where he gets his information from. Um, I wish he would share that with me and and us, because then maybe
Right.
we can, come to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I told
so
him, I was like, yo, send me that article or send
yo,
me where you got
send
that.
me the link.
Yeah. Yeah. So whatever.
But no, it's tough. I get it. In it, speaking of the drinking culture, California sober, it's tough to grow up in our when you realize our country and then the world is based on eating and drinking. Sports is just eating and drinking. If you go to a Lakers game, what do? You drink before, during, and after. New Year's, you drink. Thanksgiving today, people are drinking. Uh,
Last night, tomorrow.
yeah, all weekend, and then you go into the holidays, and then the diet starts January 1st, and New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Because we just spent 2 months partying. Because why? Um, so I don't know. It's interesting to see how generations are changing. Where our generation, the millennials, were big drinkers. Uh,
Hmm.
that's why when all these memes pop up, they're hilarious because the generations below us are drinking less and less, statistically proven. And
Yep.
so, like you said, well, you ask them, like, what do you do for fun? And it's like, well, we're equating fun with some sort of intoxicant, whether it's weed or alcohol or what or sugar or whatever it is. Maybe they're just overloading on sugar. I don't know.
Well, that's what the Mormons do. Like that was one of the funniest things I ever realized about that show. Is I was like, wait a minute, what are these people doing to you know, feel
Stimulate.
like, yeah, yeah, there you go. And they just to mix sodas and like the flavors. And I was like, my wife was telling me about this. I was like, what? And she had it on one day and they were like, yeah, we have a soda party and blah, 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 and we can mix all these flavors. I was like, what? So these people literally just like get hopped up on soda and then like have hookups because they're all like hooking up with each other, apparently.
I'm all hopped up on Mount.
Yeah, literally, literally. And then, then she tells me, you know, I can't remember a couple nights ago, she's like, yeah, this couple has this code word, Fruity Pebbles. And then she told me what that equated to. And I was like, oh, awesome. So more golden shower type stuff. Awesome.
Right, right.
Gross.
Um, but that's a good way to not, I guess, bury the lead under uh, which is the big thing everybody's talking about is the hemp THC ban that was passed into law by President Trump when they which was an interesting provision that was just alone that it was put in there uh, in order to open up the government.
So
And
weird.
then it's very fascinating timing. Also, when you think about Rand Paul got up and did some sort of filibuster, tried to make some last stand, trying to defend the hemp industry. And Mitch McConnell is one of the ones that let it expire when he's one of the ones that helped the hemp industry pass the Farm Bill in 2018. So why the flip-flop? Why what's going on now? Why the timing? And so let's ask AI mode Grok on Google. It said describe the current THC ban signed into law. So President Trump recently signed, I don't know, did you have a,
Oh yeah, I can open up
I
the
wonder if you
window.
can pull it up.
Yeah, yeah.
President Trump recently signed a government funding bill into law that includes a provision effectively banning most hemp-derived THC products currently sold nationwide. The new law dramatically narrows the definition of legal hemp, moving away from the 2018 Farm Bill standards, and is set to take effect on November 12th, 2026, which is a year from now. Key provisions of the new law, the legislation makes several changes that redefine what constitutes legal hemp under federal law. New THC limit per container, uh, products containing more than zero point 0.4 milligrams of total THC per container. Significant change, as many currently available products like gummies and drinks contain much higher amounts, typically 2 to 10 milligrams, and will exceed this limit. For example, this is 25. Um, so there you go. Redefinition of legal hemp. The prior standard of zero point 0.3 delta 9 THC on a dry weight basis has been changed to zero point 0.3 total THC concentration, which includes both delta 9 and THCA, which is basically cannabis just before you heat it up. Ban on synthetic intermediate products, which I think is the big thing of this, is the whole point of this. The ban specifically targets products containing cannabinoids that are synthesized or manufactured outside the plant or not naturally produced by cannabis sativa L, such as Delta 8 and Delta 10 THC. It also bans intermediate products sold directly to consumers, e.g., oils, distillates. That's kind of rough. But the synthetic stuff, they're basically just banning the same version of it in oils and distillates. Federal classification. Any product falling outside the new limits will be classified as marijuana and become an illegal Schedule 1 controlled substance under federal law. The ban, if truly implemented as written, is expected to wipe out an estimated 95% of the $28 billion hemp retail market and put thousands of jobs at risk. Goes into effect November 12th, 2026. The 1 year implementation period provides a window for the industry to advocate for potential legislative corrections or new regulatory frameworks or to prepare for an exit from the market. The federal ban overrides various state level hemp regulations, pushing some states to consider their own total or a pivot to state cannabis operations. The law aims to close a loophole from the 2018 Farm Bill. So, your thoughts,
Wild.
Mr. Philosopher?
Uh, I mean, I have kind of mixed feelings, as with anything. Um, I'm gonna take this shared screen off because I think nobody can see us right now. But, um, you know, in one sense, I think it's a good thing to ban synthetics because, if you're gonna be just chemically creating concoctions, you know, I remember reading stuff years and years back about like a kid in the Midwest whose dad was working with some Chinese, you know, manufacturing company who was, creating synthetic cannabinoids and, had a powdered version of one of these synthetics and was smoking it and died because it's like one or two molecules or something off from the naturally occurring substance and it killed him. But at the same time, like, are you kneecapping uh the hemp industry in terms of its ability to create viable products other than just like kind of industrial applications? Maybe. I don't know. Like, I think it's interesting that they like they specifically targeted like THCA, THCP, Delta 8, Delta 10, and like I guess the general takeaway is that all of this legislative language has been vague for so long and just kind of opaque and non-specific. And I think that was in some ways intentional so that the application could be as broad or as narrow focused as it needed to be given any specific instance. But at the same time, that's also, allowed for, yeah, kind of just this unsuredness of an industry. And, you know, the same way that alcohol is regulated to the hilt, like, sure, cannabis could be regulated the same way. I mean, I don't necessarily like, I think we had this conversation last time I was on about, size of government and government overreach and regulations and, adherence to a regulatory body. Like, I think anybody should be able to decide for themselves what they want to consume or not to consume. or put into their bodies. And I think in some ways, regulations are a good thing in terms of like keeping an industry standard, like, because that's the other problem is like, a lot of these processes, use super harsh chemicals to do extractions and stuff. Like, not everybody's going about things in really a healthy, health standardized way. So, you do have the potential to end up with really toxic stuff in some of your, consumer goods. But at the same time, is the responsibility on the consumer to just do their due diligence about a brand and their manufacturing practices, or is the onus on the manufacturer to adhere to regulations? But then again, like, you pull back to other industries, you got the EPA that's trying to regulate a whole bunch, like, the petroleum industry or, whatever. They're all doing awful stuff in terms of like dumping toxins or polluting waterways or the air or, anything like that. So I don't know,
Here's
like
here's a little trivia for sorry to interrupt you. Here's a little trivia too
it's
for
okay.
you
I
and the
was I was
audience
rambling.
of who started the EPA.
Oh, oh, good
Which
question.
president was it that started the EPA? I
I
wonder if
don't know.
I wonder if our audience, before I tell you, let me know if in the comments. It was President Richard Nixon,
That's funny.
right? You're like, huh, that was that was interesting. Um,
Oh,
but
that's cool. I just pulled up the
you
article you just sent me.
know, which one, the acres of hemp?
Yeah,
So if you want to pull that up, that's what I was going to tell people about
yeah, yeah.
that the acres of hemp. I know in the past we were talking about the hemp acreage going down, but in the most recent years it's been going sharply up. The U.S. industrial hemp production rose sharply in 2024, with total crop value reaching $445 million, a 40% increase over the previous year. Planted acreage expanded to nearly 45,000 acres, up 64% from 2023. Harvested acreage climbed 60%, and the growth reflects both increased planting and higher yields, which rose sharply. Floral hemp led the surge, so flower, with production more than doubling to 20 million pounds, a 159% jump year over year. It accounted for 87% of the total value of hemp grown in the open, cementing its position as the industry's economic driver. Seed hemp also posted notable gains, its value rising nearly 500% in 16.9 million. That's the largest percent increase among hemp categories. So that kind of growth is pretty drastic, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like your face on the article.
I was trying to figure out how to like share the screen and have you
No, I was
be
like, that's cool.
sorry.
I want to do that. Put us
Tech
both there. We can
tech
like
tech rep.
talk the words.
Well, that's what I was trying to whatever. I stopped sharing. People go to the link in the description when he posts the article up. You can read it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, dude, that's like really exciting in my mind because that means that, there's, you know, interest and enthusiasm from the people that are going to put the seeds in the ground and, make the plants happen, which is cool. And that also means that there's enough of a will of the people, so to speak, that, there's expansive, expanding trends in terms of, the agricultural sector, bringing it into their crop rotation. And I think one of the other points that I was going to get to in terms of, hemp's advantages or the, positive aspects of it is, you know, rather than being a monoculture for, in perpetuity, it's a good rotational crop from everything that I've like read and heard, farmers talking about is you can really revitalize the soil. It can balance out nitrogen levels, so on and so forth. I'm not, I am no farmer necessarily, but at the same time, like, I can tell you what I've heard from people that are doing the thing. And yeah, no, it just has a lot of advantages to soil rejuvenation that, we sit there and talk about all the toxifying aspects of different industries. Like, hemp is a cleaning plant, so to speak.
Dude, to add on to that, I just asked AI how much percent of the complete farming market is hemp. Hemp accounts for a tiny fraction of the U.S. Complete farming market, representing less than 0.1% of the total U.S. harvested
Whoa.
cropland acreage.
Wow.
So that value, the total value, $445 million of acreage, which is up 60 plus percent year over year, is still 0.1% of total US farming.
Yeah, imagine if that was 1%.
Just 1% would be in the billions.
Tenfold.
It'd be insane. And then if you that's just 1%.
Yeah.
Like just to put that in perspective, I get excited
Yeah,
because that
no, I mean,
you
I'm
put that
jumping
in
for joy. I'm
perspective,
jumping for
you're
joy inside.
like you put that in perspective, you're like, look at all that opportunity for farming, for businesses, for industries to grow within cannabis and hemp,
Dude,
clothing wise.
it's so funny that like this and like the pervasive application of it, or like the utility and versatility of the plant. I like the same people I was talking to about like the climate change conversation, that they were like, yeah, Bill Gates, whatever. I brought up, this hemp thing, and they were like, "What do you mean hemp could, save the world?" I was like, "Literally, this plant can be utilized to make," and then I just like rattled off like 15 different things. And the guy looks at me and he's like, "Hemp can do that? You can make that out of hemp?" I said, "Yeah." I was like, "The Declaration of Independence was written on hemp paper."
Yeah.
Henry Ford used hemp in the first Model Ts that he manufactured. And he was like, "Whoa, really?" Like, yeah. So like even people that are like, boomers don't even necessarily know most of this stuff. And like, and again, like it just harkens back to a conversation I know you and I have had about, just even the positive reverberations of this, this activity that we're doing right now, just talking to each other about it and then putting it out on the internet. It's education, if nothing else. Like, somebody likes you or follows whatever I'm doing, and they come across this and they're like listening to us talk, and they're like, I didn't know that.
No,
Now I do, and now I'm interested.
I'm doing this to learn, like
Yeah.
because it keeps by me doing this, I have to do research on things. And for example, Lebanon just legalized cannabis, and it is because it's cheaper to grow cannabis there than it is to grow apples. That's a fact.
Whoa.
Like, for example, that's October 28th, 2025, a news article. Lebanon just legalized cannabis. And so did Venezuela, interestingly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's a hot topic of the
Hmm.
day. Yeah, as he sips coffee. Mm. Easy Kermit.
Yikes. 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 I
But
mean,
hey, Kermit was green. So the like if it's cheaper to grow cannabis and hemp, I mean I think they're now at the point of I think economic necessity, I guess, that they're going to say, you know what? I mean, they've had since 2018 Farm Bill, that's 7 year marketing campaign basically to do
whoa.
unregulated hemp industry to get people used to it. Now you got all everybody buying hemp and CBD at the local stores or whatever. So now they're used to it. And then as soon as we're, oh, good, finally it's regulated. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I use it. It's definitely therapeutic for sure. Uh, you know,
Well,
and
so what's crazy though is like, I know we started off talking about the bill that reopened the government and everything. I actually didn't even know that the THC thing was in there until I'm sitting in, playing with my daughter, had the TV on for a random. That is not a common occurrence to have the TV on while I'm playing with her. Had the news on, and there was a story about it, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa! Like rewound it real quick. I was like, real quick, and then listened to it, and they actually had a poll. 4,000 people were polled to say like, do you agree with this ban? Do you disagree with the ban? Like, and then it had like the strongly agree, strongly, or somewhat agree, the four different things. And the disagree was 57% of the 4,000 people that were polled. Most of them were strongly disagree. And I was like, if that's not a testament to where we're at as kind of
You got a
like
point.
a nation's cultural acceptance of something that we've all kind of realized, like, you know, government said weed bad for a long time, but then
Yeah.
Sanjay
I,
Gupta comes out said weed's good. So, even like my parents and well, mainly one of my
yeah.
parents, but anyways, come around and then it's like take one step further and
Mhm.
realize that hemp and cannabis, same, but different.
Right.
And the applications and utilities of everything, it's just like we're so close.
For,
We're so
for the
close to
sake
the
of the
tipping
argument,
point.
just think of they're different. They just look the same.
Yeah.
Like, just for the sake of the argument, they're different, but they look the same. Just like look what you're looking at on the screen. We're we're the same, but different.
Oh, so actually, there was one other thing that I was gonna ask if you had heard the other day. Um, so I can't remember what I was watching, but the person that I was watching was commenting on a Crowder video, Louder with Crowder, and uh, they were talking about
That guy.
oh, they were talking about when Trump had put out like all his, Truth Social posts about hanging and, killing the members of Congress or whatever. And then they talked about how, George Washington would have just strung him up or whatever. And Crowder makes a comment. He goes, yeah, sure. Maybe he was out in the field smoking some hemp. And I was like, oh, Crowder,
Oh
seen some
shit.
facts, seen some
If
facts.
Crowder has that in his, oh my God, that's a problem. That's
I just thought it was so funny because I was thinking to myself, I'm like, see, this is a testament to how this subject
my
crosses
predictable
party.
ally there.
Right. It crosses party lines. There's people that are at least willing to be open to the conversation, and some people that, may have a strong opinion about, we shouldn't allow all of the kids to be
Right.
smoking the weed, still are aware of like the historical aspect of the plant itself.
Well, that's the thing is if you st for these constitutionalists or all the people that studied, if you really do study, and it sounds like he did, it sounds like if you do study, you do know that hemp was massive. So like
You could pay
it
taxes with it.
I mean it was mandated by the Commonwealth to grow. Like if you were a farmer,
Hmm.
you had to allocate a certain portion of your farming to hemp, and then you had to give that to the Commonwealth to use for buildings and ships and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe we bring that back.
That's kind of socialistic, don't you think? Um, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, but
Subsidized farming.
for
But
a
don't
good
we already
cause. I
have
mean,
subsidized farming?
but look, Mom Donnie's out here, talking about some socialistic things
And
as well, and
they're
he
actually
got
growing
voted.
cannabis to I guess give the last mayor credit, Adams. He started growing cannabis on the roofs of
Oh, did he?
NYC buildings.
Good
So
man.
actually, if you do that and you partner it with solar panels, you have like a self-sustaining building, and it's green. So.
Cool.
And they
I
also are
like
doing
that.
carrier pigeon deliveries
Yeah, I saw that. I was
in
like,
what
what?
and which hey, that
Okay,
I'm down for that. Hey, we can
I
only
dig
move
it.
so fast with technology, but I do
True.
want to say before we get going, I know you got to run soon.
Yeah, I gotta skate.
We'll do a little fun projection of what's going to come in the next year or so. So if anybody doesn't want to listen to politics, this is your chance to get going. Um, But why the ban now with the government reopening, which only goes until January, right? So they
Yeah.
got to reopen again in January. But the ban also doesn't go into effect for a year. So if you ask AI mode, what happens if they change the law? Nothing unless it's something that's codified into law. So hemp is already removed out of the Controlled Substances Act of 1971, I believe.
Hmm.
So, but cannabis and sativa and all that stuff isn't. But now they want to change the definition of what they removed. Um, but that last point of them bottlenecking it into the states' current existing programs. That's why a lot of states, especially red states like Texas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and like all these Tennessee, and Florida, they're expanding their medical cannabis laws. They're not legalizing, but they're allowing more conditions for qualification for medical cannabis. They're allowing more ways to get medical cannabis, et cetera, which I think that's going to come, in my opinion, that's another way to give states money. If you want to
Hmm.
print money into your economy out of nowhere and you do it for medical research in the cannabis world, you give it to colleges and, New York City or wherever. I think that's a way to boost economies,
Yeah.
and add jobs. And if Trump reschedules, you're talking about bipartisan stuff. If he reschedules, and like, again, I don't care about either one of these people or what happens, but if he reschedules before the election and then gives people $2,000 stimulus checks,
He may get a third term.
why? I don't know. I wasn't going to go that far. Uh,
I don't think
but
so, but
that's funny. But he might not lose the midterms like everyone thinks he might. Um,
we'll see if any of the if like I guess right now like I think the House is like split by I think it's like 6 votes or something like that with the Republicans still holding the majority. That might flip, but I don't know in terms of like red versus blue and what all of the implications of midterms might be. I don't really know. But I do think that we are trending in a better direction around just the cannabis topic specifically. And I'm encouraged by some of the stuff that has been kind of percolating through, the different houses of government and your branches of government, whatever, what have you, both from a federal standpoint and from a state's standpoint, bar the couple, setbacks that, we've reviewed, Texas and a couple other places that are getting a little bit more, you know, tightly gripped on an industry and, preventing access rather than expanding access. But, you know, I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic for what's to come in the next, year or so. And I guess that's probably a decent segue for me to do my little plug for my project that's coming out because
yeah,
that's
please
gonna
do.
happen. So yeah, so I know we've talked a little bit about the project that I was working on about Bigfoot. It is titled American Sasquatch, Man, Myth, or Monster. You can currently check out the trailer on YouTube. I will share that link with Brett so that he can put it in the description. But it will be going live on streaming platforms on December 1st. So it'll be on like Amazon Prime. I think it'll be on Google Play, iTunes for, purchase if you wanted to do that. I'm pretty sure there are going to be special features, at least featured on the DVD, which I know you could purchase from Dave Politis's website, missing411.com, I believe. Sorry, Dave. Uh, but yeah, no, excited to
Links in
finally
the
have that
bio.
project. Yeah, excited to have that project out into the world. And yeah, I think it's a subject that also has been very taboo for a long time. And no matter kind of where you
100%.
fall in terms of your belief systems on the subject or, you think it's ridiculous or whatever, I think that, there will definitely be some stuff to take away that you might not have known previously.
I think that's the way everybody should just approach everything going forward is just, hey, I know what I've been told for a long time from people I've never met or shouldn't trust for no reason. Um, Especially when they've been proven of lying to me and then had to pay. I've never had to pay $1 billion of fines or
Yeah.
go to jail or anything for misleading anybody or killing anybody. Um, but they deserve all of our trust. So trust your experts because
They've
they're the
never lied to
experts.
you.
They've never lied to you and they never will. There's no reason
Nope.
for them to lie. Um,
Every motive is altruistic and benevolent.
no, everybody's, it's so funny, like do your own research and all this stuff. It's like, well, yes and no, because maybe you don't know how to do research the right way, or, you know, or if you don't know, if you Google something and you see the first 4 or 5 articles, you know,
Well, now you
then
just have the AI summary.
right. Now you got the AI summary. Unless you're on Grok and you want to see it in a certain language, you can't see it in that language. But that is another discussion for another day. Because we've done a good job today about not stay about staying off that topic.
We were focused.
We're focused on the plant today, because it is Thanksgiving and we are very thankful to be here. And that's why we were focused. And I'm very thankful that I get to talk about something that I'm passionate about, from the comfort of a nice, warm, office space that a lot of people may not have. So thank you for being my friend and my guest and probably just co-host, with most stuff. So until next time, stay blessed, y'all, and don't forget to tip your bud tenders.
Peace.